Hey everybody, welcome. Today I'll be going through some of my tight end picks this year um, for the upcoming fantasy drafts. Now these are not going to be the top tier guys, so we're not talking about Brock Bowers, the Trey McBrides, the George Kittles of the world. But in the tight end position, I like punting. Um, you know, Start looking at guys maybe in the eighth to 12th round. So I'll give you, the picks that I like within that range here. Going into it, I have three players identified. The first is going to be Evan Ingram. Now, Evan Ingram, he's going currently in the ninth round. I think there's a big opportunity here for Evan Ingram. Back in 2022 and 2023, he had top five finishes, even finishing as the number two overall in 2023. Now, in 2024, he did struggle, so he only played 9 games. Injuries derailed his season. Um, and so, he only finished 33rd overall in PPR for tight end ranking. I do think this year, there's a big bounce back opportunity. He's still only 30 years old. Coming to the Denver Broncos with Bo Nix, I think he can really form a formidable connection with him. I think Ingram's a guy that has potential to finish in the top 5 or 6. The talent's there and the opportunity is just whether he can deliver. The next tight end pick is going to be David Njoku. So Njoku, kind of similar to Ingram, struggled last year. Injuries also derailed his season. He only played 11 games, but despite only playing 11 games, he put up decent numbers. So he put up 150 points, which is good for 11th overall in PPR. So he put up good numbers last year when he played. The only problem is he missed some games. Um, but back in 2023, when Joe Flacco was throwing in the ball, he finished sixth overall in PPR. So Joe Flacco, obviously, we don't know who's going to win the Browns training camp battle for QB right now. Could be Shedeur Sanders, could be Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel. But either way, I think there's a good opportunity for David Njoku to get targets and get yards. And so, David Njoku's going, end of the ninth round, early 10th. I think there's an opportunity. Maybe he's not going to get you a top three season, but, I think being the number 6 to 8 tight end is definitely on the table for David Njoku with, a little bit of upside. In terms of my favorite pick in the, 8 to 12 round range here is going to be Tucker Kraft. I think this guy has some of the higher upsides of the guys I mentioned. Last year he finished as the tight end 10, so put up 163 points. So not too bad for a guy that was in his second year. So now he'll be going into his third year. We all know that tight ends typically have slower development uh, than other positions. Where wide receivers maybe have quicker breakouts. I think he showed great promise last year, and I think he's going to continue to evolve and build that relationship with Jordan Love. So he's a guy that I'm really excited about, a guy that's going, in the 11th, 12th round. I think, um, is a no-brainer pick here. He has top five potential. As you can get in the 12th round, I think it's a great opportunity. So he's the guy that I'm targeting in most of my redraft leagues, and then also like him in Dynasty as well. So these are my three kind of mid sleeper picks, mid range tight ends to target this year: Evan Ingram, David Njoku, and Tucker Kraft. You guys let me know if there's any guy that you like, any sleeper you have that I might have missed. Thanks.